Alright, give me 6 minutes.
Halo was built as a weapon for the next generation of awesome fighters.
I would if a Halo marketing campaign opened up like that, I would just buy the game immediately.
Halo was built to train you trainees. Come join the army now.
Come join Halo.
Alright. What would you have your arbiter do?
Kyle, move your cursor around so we can get the game going.
What would you have your arbiter do?
What are you waiting for? Oh, sorry, right. Oh, oh, The Halo series is one of the most highly regarded video game franchises ever made. So in light of the recent campaign-evolved remake of the first Halo game, I reckon this was a good opportunity to go over my thoughts on the Master Chief Collection. This amalgamation of 6 of the legendary games from this franchise prior to the people making the Halo games making Halo 5 at the time. But we don't talk about Halo 5. Halo is a sci-fi operatic military series of first-person shooter video games, which centers on the adventurous campaigns of Master Chief and his various allies fighting for humanity as they campaign against various existential threats. One of the most prominent of them being a group of aliens that have joined together to form a false religious cult by the name of the Covenant. Much of the conflict revolves around these ancient, ginormous ring structures called Halo. And the bulk of these conflicts revolve around who gets to use these Halo rings, as well as how they even work in the first place. What follows is a series of epic adventures of epic proportion, filled to the brim with epic spectacle, revelations of big mysteries, action spectacle, moments of sacrifice, and a lot of hoorah attitude. When Xbox became a new gaming brand, they didn't really have a definitive Mascot series that could compete with Nintendo's Mario series or anything Sony had to offer. That was until Halo came along, and they had a flagship series exclusively for their consoles. Well, exclusive for the first few generations of consoles. Not exclusive now, but you get what I mean. The moment players got their hands on it, they fell in love with it. They loved the world building, they loved the inspirational characteristics of Master Chief and other characters in the series. They absolutely adored the multiplayer, and whilst many players are saddened by the shutting down of the original servers, the multiplayer legacy lives on in the Master Chief Collection, which is basically the modern ports of all those classic games in one collection. You can get the Master Chief Collection on modern Xbox consoles as well as on Steam. I remember being introduced to the Halo series through one primary school friend who would not shut up about the series. It wasn't until around the end of my college years that I started getting into the Halo series due to the innate symbolism that the series had to offer. Now, the symbolism that the series offers warrants a whole video in and of itself, but that'll be for another time. This video is purely dedicated to reviewing each of the 6 games in this collection as games. What are their quality? Do they hold up, even with all the nostalgic sentiment going into them? So, I didn't necessarily go into these games with the same kind of nostalgic sentiment because I played them when I was older. So, I got a bit of a different standard that way, you see. Now, the lore for the Halo series is quite intricate, especially if you're going to delve deep into the novels and multimedia content like the Halo Legends miniseries, and then some. Side note, I did review each and every single Halo game way back when I was first getting into the series, but that was back when I was way less professional than I am now. So I thought I'd review the series again with a more refined perspective. To keep things simple for my viewers, I'm going to be reviewing these games in chronological order, starting with the prequel, Halo Reach, the last Halo game that was made by Bungie Studios, before Bungie gave the Halo rights to 343 Industries, whilst Bungie would then go on to make the Destiny game series. In the events of Halo Reach, humanity had achieved branching out into the depths of space, but unfortunately, they've come across a very hostile alien group called the Covenant. In the lore, humanity was able to fight back against the alien Covenant. No, not that alien Covenant. Yeah, that's better. By creating their own brand of super soldiers known as Spartans. Spartans were the warriors that actually stood a chance against such a malicious force. But now the Covenant have dealt a deadly blow, attacking the human safe haven planet known as Reach. In this hour of desperation, a group of Spartans, including the player character known as Lone Wolf, is sent in to defend the planet Reach. Going into Halo Reach, it was quite an interesting game to get into as an entry point. For many Halo players, this was ironically nothing new, and the game itself even acknowledges this in a meta-narrative sense, where one of the characters said, "I know you're used to doing things alone, but this time we work as a team." Meta-narratively implying that the player is used to going out all full Rambo style in previous Halo games. So because of that aspect, as well as the fact that it's a prequel chronologically speaking, which would set the events of the hope that we see in the Halo trilogy, this acts as an interesting gateway point for both new players and veterans alike. Much of the Halo games play the same way, where you're going from point A to point B in these big sandbox areas, fighting off these alien opponents as you go along. You as the player only have the option to carry a primary weapon and a secondary weapon alongside grenades. You're gonna have to be pretty cunning with how you use your weapons and when to switch if you can find other weapons. Throughout 90% of the Master Chief Collection series, you'll be playing as a Spartan warrior, with the only exception being Halo 3 ODST. As a Spartan soldier, you'll have two forms of health. You'll have the Spartan armor itself, which can take on a lot of damage, and then, if left undamaged for a period of time, can self-regenerate. And if that goes completely down, then you have your own health to worry about. And if your secondary health bar goes to 0, then your character dies and you're gonna have to start again from the checkpoint. When you combine that with the overall sense of movements that these Spartan characters and elite characters have, it does give off this sense that you are this awesome hero, but there are some limits that you can't overdo. It's that right balance between vulnerability and invulnerability that collides perfectly well into this kind of power fantasy that still has stakes. Also, driving vehicles is a wee bit strange. You don't necessarily have a left and right button to turn the vehicles. Instead, you have to press forward and back to move the car forward and back, and then you use your mouse if you're playing on PC to move the car left and right. It's pretty weird, but you eventually get used to it. So anyway, going back to Halo Reach, you're also given the option of having these unique power-ups that aid you on your quests, and then you and your companions go through all these different missions, but sadly, the odds become too overwhelming. But there is some hope amidst this despair. The scientist, Dr. Catherine Halsey, has an AI called Cortana, who knows the location of where planet Earth is. If the Covenant takes Cortana, then Earth is pretty much doomed. So the Spartans have to escort Cortana to a ship called the Pillar of Autumn and get the humans on Cortana to escape, and then there will be hope. As the game continues, your friends continue to sacrifice themselves for the cause, and eventually you, the Lone Wolf, hand Cortana over to the humans who escape on the Pillar of Autumn, which then sets off the events of the first Halo game. And Halo Reach ends with what I can honestly say is one of the best, most powerful endings in any video game. It would have been so easy for the game developers to screw this up, because one of these irritations that gamers have is when a character goes through something only to die in the end anyway, which makes them think, well, what was the point in playing through that particular level anyway? But the way this particular mission where your character dies anyway is set up it has so much nobility, so much despair, and yet so much sacrificial hope to it all at once. In this final mission, you, the lone wolf, have successfully saved humanity, and all you have left is this last stand to fend off the Covenant for as long as possible. You can keep fighting in this mission, but you can't hold yourself up forever. And the brutal part about this mission is that there's no backup coming in to save Lone Wolf, no cheap Deus Ex Machina device to save him at the last minute. He has taken his last stand, and when you run out of health, he goes out in a blaze of glory. And then the game ends with this monologue about Lone Wolf's sacrifice, and if only he could have been there to see the ultimate victory. What a poignant way to send off Bungie on their way. So now, on to the first Halo game. It kicks right off from the events of Halo Reach, with the humans on the Pillar of Autumn being chased down by the Covenant, and the legend himself, the Master Chief, is awakened from his cryogenic slumber. Oh yeah, and from what I remember, in every Halo game, they let you do this eyesight test thing to see if you prefer to play with usual controls or inverted controls, so make of that as you will. So Master Chief is called in to protect Cortana and fend off the alien threat, and the action gets to the point where Master Chief has to take an escape ship and land on the nearby Halo Ring. Whilst on the Halo Ring, they continue to fight off the Covenant force as well as find out the mystery of what exactly this enormous, amazing Halo Ring actually is. Over a series of events, Master Chief gets Cortana to go into the Halo's mainframe computer. Much to everyone's horror, the Flood parasite has been accidentally unleashed and is causing even further havoc amongst the already sparring two factions of humanity and the Covenant. One of the greatest levels in the first Halo game is the one where the Floods are revealed. The level design is really well done to build up the tension and then have the payoff of fighting off a whole new group of enemies who seem to be fairly weak by themselves at first, but the moment they take over other humans and other aliens, they become a horrifying threat. It's got a brilliant sense of storytelling pacing to it, and it's quite horrifying for a game that's not primarily a horror game. It's really well done. Then Master Chief comes across 343 Guilty Spark, who says he knows a way to stop the Flood parasite. But right before Master Chief can follow that to its logical endpoint, Cortana stops 343 Guilty Spark, revealing that this protocol to end the Flood doesn't just simply annihilate the Flood, it annihilates all life forms via advanced explosive technology, and by destroying all life forms, it starves the Flood parasites of their main substance for survival. You see, in the lore of the Halo series, it was the Forerunner alien species who made the Halo rings. When the Flood parasite attacked all life forms, the Forerunners used the Halo rings to destroy all life forms and all the Flood in turn, and then, having spared their own organisms on their own Halo rings, they set them off on their respective planets so that life could grow again. Much like Noah's Ark. Again, there's a lot of symbolism in this series, but that warrants another video. Realizing this truth, Master Chief, quite understandably, gets hostile towards 343 Guilty Spark and initiates a plan to blow up the Halo ring so it doesn't fall into the hands of the Covenant. To make a long story short, Master Chief successfully does that, and he, Cortana, and the awesome Sergeant Johnson manage to make it out alive. Now, the first Halo game is great and is spectacular. Its main strengths come from its overall visual aesthetics that would establish the series with tall structures, these visuals that are meant to inspire you to look up all the time, building a sense of wonder and sheer awe of the magnitude that's beheld right in front of you. The innovative sense of action at the time and the various sandbox set pieces with various environments to play around with. And who could forget the music? The music is always a standout, brilliant thing throughout this entire series. The music has this brilliant blend between this epic Gregorian choir and contemporary music and an epic orchestra, which, interestingly enough, doesn't always rely on a blaring trumpet like most other triumphant music set pieces do. Instead, it primarily uses violins to establish its epic tunes. surprisingly restrained and yet still absolutely epic. It's really well done. I mean, there'll still be trumpets introduced later on, but you get the idea. Now, as much as the first Halo game is a fun ride to go through, unfortunately, there are many aspects of the first Halo game that remain dated. The game's biggest flaw is its repetitive design with some particular levels. And even the most die-hard Halo fans will agree with me on that sentiment. I mean, I can understand why people consider the first Halo game to be their favorite, but for me personally, that sheer exhausting repetitiveness with some of those levels, I mean, I get that it's meant to be like part of the lore, how the Forerunners built the place, I can understand that, but to play through, the game developers could have done something, anything, to make the repetitiveness feel more tolerable to go through. It can get rather exhaustive at times, and it seems quite a shame because the Halo game is an otherwise great experience to play through, even after all these years. But fortunately, much of those issues was fixed and changed with a truly awesome sequel. Halo 2, baby! It's not called Halo 2, baby, it's called Halo 2.
You might not know it, but this game was all the rage back in 2002.
Multiplayer was revolutionary back in the heyday, yeah.
You either have a great game, or you get immediately murdered by somebody who's been in the game for 5,000 hours.
I've heard that Halo 2.
I'm an elite.
I'm finna pull out the noob combo for real. I ain't playing no more.
It's like, kick gloves are off, man.
Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?
I'll die
Turn him out!
Evan, I thought you were a blue team player for a second. Oh, nope, I'm out. Nothing about it happened to me. If he has a sword, you might not want to try and challenge him in close quarters.
No, challenge him in close quarters, see what happens.
Halo 2 expands and, if you ask me, improves everything about the first game. It maximizes the multiplayer to a revolutionary extent, and it pretty much transformed online multiplayer forever, as far as I'm aware. It expands the world building, it expands the capacity for combat by introducing new weapons and new vehicles. Oh, how I love this sword. Tanks and swords are a very welcome addition indeed. And whilst Master Chief doesn't really get much in the way of character development in this game, there is another character who gets exponential character development. Half of this entire game is dedicated to the campaign of someone from the opposing faction in the Covenant. Yes, that's right, you get to play as an alien in this game. This particular alien is an elite, who pretty much plays much the same way as the Spartans, except in Halo 2, the Spartans have access to this torch thing, which people hardly ever use, and the elites have this invisibility power-up thing, so the elites already have this big advantage in multiplayer matches, I presume. Unless the torchlight could, like, spot invisible users or something. Anyway. You get to play as an alien, and not just any alien. One of the elites, known as Thal, who has been dishonored due to the events of the Halo ring being blown up in the first game, and has been reduced to being in a role to restore his honor. A role of the Arbiter. The Arbiter here is voiced by the ever so awesome silver-throated Keith David. And he just elevates this really compelling redemption arc for this character. Through a series of events, the Arbiter realizes that he's been fighting for a false cause and gradually gets won over to the side of the humans. The Arbiter gets the best character development in the entire series, if you ask me. We find out that the leaders of the Covenant, the quote-unquote prophets, are trying to use the Halo rings, which they worship, to activate them for their mass destruction to initiate what they call the Great Journey. And they view humanity as a scourge that's getting in their way from achieving this mission. The only major problem with this is that, as it turns out, humans were given this biological blessing from the Forerunners themselves to be able to control the Halo rings, which means only humanity is able to activate and deactivate the Halo rings at will. So, the Covenant leaders in their jealousy have to revert to kidnapping a human or two in order to try to attempt to achieve this goal. The full extent of their goals is never fully answered in Halo 2. I'm pretty sure there's other lore that can further expand on what exactly they're trying to achieve and why they later betray the elites. But you're given enough information to know what the Arbiter is initially fighting for and why that inevitably turns out to be false. And then you see a series of events of how the Arbiter does eventually turn things around for the better. Now, the Arbiter's transition from zealot for the Covenant to a hero for humanity can be a bit on the swift side for most people, but his overall sense of internal wrestling with where his honor lies, combined with the very enriching performance by Keith David, is so investing that issue I brought up doesn't seem relevant in regards to the sheer quality of the overall characterization of the Arbiter. It's really well done. The level design here is much more investing, and you have the music that's right on cue for specific emotional beats, and there's lots of epic moments throughout this game between Master Chief and the Arbiter. If I did have any critiques with Halo 2, is that the boss fights aren't that well designed, and this game ends on an anticlimactic cliffhanger, but one that nonetheless builds up hype for the inevitable Halo 3. What an awesome game Halo 2 is. Not perfect, but awesome all the same. Next, let's go on to the very often overlooked and underrated Halo 3 ODST. A side game that focuses on a subgroup of soldiers that are nowhere near as powerful as Spartan soldiers, but are admirable soldiers in their own right, the ODST group. A group of soldiers that are sent to drop down from the skypods into the battlefield. This game is set to bridge between the events of Halo 2 and Halo 3, and it's set during the events of the New Mombasa battle in Halo 2, but primarily in the aftermath of the battle in New Mombasa in Halo 2. Now, this was a very interesting, unique spin on the franchise. The music delved more into a solemn jazz kind of vibe, with this atmosphere of rain. Led to a very reflective, somber sort of mood. Not to mention, there was more of an emphasis on character writing, which was thanks in part to the talent of Joss Whedon at the time, in collaboration with Nathan Fillion, who appears as a character in this game, as well as in Halo 5, but we don't talk about Halo 5. The character writing is actually really good in this game, which it really gets you invested in these characters, and you want to see them get through to the end. Which makes the last scene all the more hopeful when they, alongside Sergeant Johnson, realize that these engineer aliens can be used to help them in their cause against the Alien Covenant. It's kind of a shame that the engineers don't really make an appearance in Halo 3, but hey ho, the fact that these engineers were actually friendly was quite a surprising twist when I found that out in the game, because I thought they were these, hostile explosive things I need to stay away from, but they turned out to be very passive and friendly and needing to be helped and spared. That was a very interesting in-game plot twist that was told to me not just on a plot basis, but also on the interactive basis. That was really cleverly well done. I look at the character writing of ODST and I think, it's kind of a shame that Halo Reach didn't really implement that kind of character writing in the same way. The characters in Halo Reach come across as kind of flat. But in Halo ODST, the characters are much more relatable and much more dynamic and alive. Not to mention, it's quite the interesting perspective shift when the ODST soldiers, as you find out via play, are nowhere near as fast or as strong as the Spartan soldiers, and they have a whole different health system than that of the Spartan soldiers. That change in perspective really makes you realize, oh wow, these Spartan characters I've been playing as, they really were quite powerful. Wow, they really did change the tide in the battlefield. A great game in its own right when you get the chance to play it. Very interesting use of perspective shift. It's kind of a shame that plot elements from that game didn't really play a part again in climactic moments like in Halo 3 and whatnot. Then we get to the game. Halo 3. A game that was so hyped up, it was the video game equivalent of something akin to the second coming of Christ. Seriously, the marketing for Halo 3 was so immense, it was actually better than the actual game itself. Don't get me wrong, Halo 3 for the most part does deliver on a lot of satisfying narrative beats, and to this day, Halo 3 has some of the best multiplayer you're ever gonna play in any Halo game.
Next.
Ich bin ein
Oh, get on!
No! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Give me the ball!
Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Give me the ball!
Let me hold the ball! Let me hold the ball!
Give me the ball!
No! I'm in the lead, yes!
Halo 3 does have a satisfying payoff in its campaign, and it does deliver with some great spectacle, and as far as I can recall, Hideo Kojima was quite impressed with plant physics at the time. There's a lot of great levels out there, and sure, players can be annoyed at the sequences where the game abruptly halts so that Cortana and or the Gravemind can narrate and commentate to Master Chief on various aspects. But the gameplay is really finely well done here. Smooth gameplay, more spectacle, a fun co-op campaign like the other games, interesting secrets if you know where to find them. The music is at its absolute hype here. Halo 3, by all intents and purposes, does end the initial Halo trilogy with a satisfying bow. However, it could have been more narratively refined, because sadly, Halo 3 doesn't quite fully deliver on certain narrative setups as it should have. And the reason for this is because the development for Halo 3 was actually quite rushed. My friend Evan Prince has made a video all about that rushed development if you want to check it out for yourself. Anyway, this rushed development led to some narrative shortcomings, which leads to a few narrative letdowns if you're actually paying attention. Like, for example, I know the co-op campaign is a thing, but the relationship between Master Chief and Arbiter isn't developed that much. And yet, Arbiter, later on in the franchise, regards Master Chief as a close friend. We don't really see that kind of a close friend bond forming that much throughout the campaign of Halo 3. Also, there really should have been a boss fight with the Gravemind. There should have been. I mean, much of the narrative of Halo 3 mainly leans on the fact of the bravado of this being the final chapter in the trilogy, the climax, the one where they save the day, making our stand against these existential forces. We're going to war, we're gonna do this. And I mean, that's great and all, but a lot of the substance was established in Halo 2. Halo 3 is more of an expanded finale for Halo 2, and that's not necessarily a bad thing in of itself. It's just that Halo 3 feels more like the overextended, less thought out ending for Halo 2 rather than a full-on narrative in its own right, if that makes any sense. Other than a few narrative shortcomings on that regard, it's still a great game, and it does end off in a rather satisfying manner with the sad departure of Sergeant Johnson, one of people's favorite characters in the series, as well as that epic final Warthog run in the last level of Halo 3. An overall epic game. And then we have Halo 4, what many people consider to be the weakest entry in the Master Chief Collection. But I actually liked it. Yeah, I acknowledge why people don't like it. The level design is more linear than it was in previous games, and the final boss fight was ridiculously anticlimactic. I mean, come on, you had this opportunity for an epic boss fight, and you reduce it to the most bare bones basic quick time event that just leads to an anticlimax. Come on! Not to mention, those flying Promethean enemies can get really irritating. But I felt invested in Halo 4. Not just because the graphics were surprisingly good, but because the story was really investing. The story between Master Chief and Cortana in Halo 4 is really compelling, and it's quite interesting how in Halo 4 there's less of a focus on the actual threat, which in hindsight is probably even bigger than the Flood and the Covenant combined, and yet the focus remains on the stakes between Master Chief and Cortana, because Cortana is perceiving to have a short lifespan, and Master Chief is trying to do anything he can to prevent that from happening. And you have this tension between Master Chief's determined nature and Cortana going through the steps of despair and coming to terms with herself passing on and what it means for her existence. It's through this we get to see Master Chief open up as a character truly for the first time in the series. But don't get me wrong, Master Chief was still an awesome character throughout the series, but in Halo 4 we get to see more of a personal side with him we never really got to see in the other games. And once again, the music really helps to establish that mood. Honestly, in the scope of the Master Chief collection, it seems like all the previous 5 games were this big, epic amalgamation of this conflict between 2 major factions, and then the last game is a grieving process of gradually losing somebody. And it's all the more profound when you find out that this was inspired by one of the developers' relatives suffering from dementia, gradually losing their authentic self, slowly losing themselves.
One moment that really worked for narrative engagement was this one segue section that took a break from the action in one level to focus on a conversation between Cortana and Master Chief in the midst of the gameplay itself, ending off in a long pause to really let the weight of the topic sink in. It's a brilliant way to remind players of the core conflict of the story, as well as the core characteristics of Cortana and Master Chief.
The whole thing is quite epic when you put it into that perspective. And that concludes the Halo Master Chief collection.
Now, before I end this review, I might as well mention the quality of the multiplayer throughout this collection. Of course, you have the classic co-op campaigns that people still have fond memories of, but as well as the epic campaigns, people have fond memories of the multiplayer matches, which I've been alluding to, but might as well go into full detail now. The multiplayer matches are brilliant, and they really do personify the series alongside the single-player/cooperative campaigns. The multiplayer matches involve various games like capture the flag and get the most amount of eliminations before the time runs out, so on and so forth, all set within mini sandbox arenas, usually within a set time limit. Sometimes it's a free-for-all, but I find that the most fun matches tend to be the big 12v12 matches. One fun wee detail that I've learned about the multiplayer matches is that they're actually canon to the Halo series, and their existence is explained by training simulations necessary for the Spartan soldiers, and presumably later on for the elites that joined them in Halo 3. And the end of Halo 2, I presume. That detail about the multiplayer matches being canon training simulations, there's something about that I just find so satisfying. The extensive attention to detail to such an extent that they'll explain how these multiplayer matches can even happen in a logistical manner. A lot of games that have a similar kind of premise usually fall short because it wouldn't really make sense for certain characters to fight against each other, at least plot-wise, but here the team have actually gone out of their way to explain why. I just love it. There's so much that can be done in these multiplayer matches. The aforementioned games I've mentioned, free-for-all, or at times, if you're willing, modded games like races and whatnot. Overall, I'd say the Halo Master Chief Collection is a brilliant amalgamation of everything that makes this series so brilliant in regards to its gaming source material. The simple yet surprisingly dynamic combat mechanics, the epic world building, the golden age of Bungie's game development, the smile-inducing one-liners from Sergeant Johnson, the sheer spectacle of Master Chief, the snarkiness of Cortana, the character arc of the Arbiter. It's all here, and it's all glorious. Now, if you were to ask me what my favorite Halo game is, for the longest time it was difficult for me to decide because each and every installation of the Halo Master Chief Collection provided some genuine strength despite their setbacks. Halo Reach had the best ending, the first Halo game had the best overall sense of mystery and atmosphere, Halo 2 had the best world building and best character arc, Halo 3 has the refined gameplay, the spectacle, and fun multiplayer which remains amazing to this day. Halo 3 ODST has the best character writing, and Halo 4 has the best overall emotional investment. And as I've said before, as much as I love the series, each of the games have their own glaring flaws. Most of the cast and reach are a wee bit flat. Halo 1 has outdated level design. Halo 2 has a bit of an anticlimax, as well as lackluster boss battles. Halo 3 didn't properly pay off narrative beats established in Halo 2. Halo 3 ODST's plot reveal about the engineers should have been more implemented into games like Halo 3, and Halo 4 had an anticlimactic boss battle, if you can even call it that. Still, all in all, I declare Halo 2 to be my personal favorite game in the Halo Master Chief Collection, mainly because the Arbiter's character arc is just that good. Many fans will have their own personal favorites in this series, but the overall consensus is that Halo 2 is widely considered to be the best one. With all that said, how would I rank these games? Halo Reach, 10.5 out of 12. Halo 1, 10 out of 12. Halo 2, 11 out of 12. Halo 3, 10.5 out of 12. Halo 3 ODST, 10.5 out of 12. Halo 4, 10 out of 12. Overall score for this collection, 10.5. It's worth your time despite its flaws, offering some of the most investing sci-fi world building you're ever going to come across, alongside some of the most fun multiplayer you're ever going to have. What do you think of the Halo Master Chief Collection? Any fond memories from these games? Let me know down in the comments below, and I look forward to responding to your comments. In the meantime, ScotsThinker signing out.
Z's counting system runs off of the 1998 version of Excel.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it does. Somebody who used to work at the CDC has told me this, who works on the system.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh!
Oh!
What the fuck was that?
No, the thing is running! This thing! No! Battery! Shoot!
That's his type. I am bored.
Got him! I got that! We got him!
Give me the ball!
Bunch of Robin did nothing wrong.
Your ball! Your ball!
I sound like the villain from like the Chronicles of what's the film called? Give me the book! Give me
No, damn it! Neil!
No, I don't want the ball. I just want to make it.
We knocked each other out to oblivion!
Oh shit! Okay.
Trying to get this banshee with a tank is like trying to spot a fly with a car or something.
You got it, man. Just,
You got it.
you just gotta push that joke out like a turd. I respect it. I'm just gonna do Duolingo.
No, I got
Duolingo. Are you trying to speak the Covenant language? Is that what you're doing on Duolingo?
If the Covenant speaks German, then yes.
Jawohl, mein Freund.
Oh! Wait, no!
Where's the ball?
No.
My skull.
Oh.
That puppet.
Oh man.
Says, I found you, faker. That's the Chaos Emerald. Now I see what's going on here. The police have mistaken me for the likes of you. The likes of you.
Mr. Fan, thank you, Mr. Fan. Okay, let's get this thing going while we wait for Dino.
Danny Phantom. Daniel.
Danny Phantom.
Daniel.
Danny Jantum.
Daniel Fentanyl, is that what you just said?
That's what I said. Fanny Jantum. Call me back in the day.
Danny Dantum.
The task you will undertake will involve a public server, as well as binge-watching Danny Phantom on Cartoon Network. It's perilous!
It's a perilous thing.
We are. Wait, hang on. Can I still do it?
Council will have their consumer.
I am Kermit the Frog, and I say go subscribe to Evan Prince on
Mind over here.
Welcome to Valhalla!
I am Kermit the Frog.
You guys.
I'm going to Kermit Oh yeah, I can't say that.
No. You're not
touching
Kermit
Super slide.
Who has taught you
I
these
am
lines?
going to Kermit
I
friendship.
am going to build a slip and slide.
No. Bro.
Yay!
Kermit the Frog to show his cucumber.
It's cucumber. Care to elaborate on that without
Yeah, I can.
demonetizing it?
Oh, I'm dying. Alright.
What just happened?
The king is not demonetizing it.
That's no way to treat my friend.
You guys. What the f?
Well, your friend's
How you
dead,
treat me
so...
wrong?
There
There's
you
no
go.
way to treat every YouTube
I've
channel.
I
catapulted
have
him sky
committed a
high.
murder.
Oh my, there's another tank. I
1979.
should blow it up.
I just got back from my vacation to Guantanamo Bay.
Oh my.
Oh my god!
You're in one hundred days. Damn.
Now, the first Halo Sorry.